A brother's sacrifice, a tragic encounter in the wild. It was supposed to be an ordinary adventure. Two brothers, bonded by family and a shared love for the outdoors, set out into the sprawling expanse of the Dorado National Forest. This time their goal was to find antlers shed by deer, a treasure hunt for nature's relics in a forest they had explored many times before. The day started early, with golden rays of sunlight filtering through the towering pines. The brothers parked their weathered, mud-spattered truck on a dirt road about 52 miles northeast of Sacramento. With backpacks slung over their shoulders and sturdy boots crunching on the forest floor, they ventured deep into the wilderness. The air was crisp, filled with the invigorating scent of pine needles and the distant sound of a babbling stream. It was a setting they both cherished, far removed from the noise and chaos of city life. By noon, the brothers had covered considerable ground. Jake's backpack carried a few small antlers they had found, while Ethan had been snapping photos of anything that caught his eye. A vibrant red fox near a stream, the intricate patterns of moss on fallen logs, and a soaring hawk silhouetted against the azure sky. They laughed, joked, and shared stories as they continued their search, their voices mingling with the rustle of leaves and the occasional chirp of a bird. Neither had any inkling that their day would soon descend into a nightmare. It was around 1 p.m. when the first signs of trouble appeared. Ethan had wandered slightly ahead, drawn by the glint of sunlight on what looked like a shed antler. Jake followed a few paces behind, his eyes scanning the ground for tracks. Suddenly, the serene ambience of the forest shifted. Birds scattered from the treetops, their alarmed cries piercing the silence. A hush fell over the woods, broken only by the faint rustle of leaves. Ethan froze, sensing something was off. He turned to look at Jake, who had stopped dead in his tracks, his gaze fixed on a dark shape in the dense underbrush. A low, guttural growl emanated from the shadows, sending a chill down their spines. "Cougar," Jake whispered, his voice barely audible. Ethan's heart pounded as his eyes darted to the source of the sound. The mountain lion emerged slowly, its sleek, muscular frame moving with predatory precision, its golden eyes locked onto them, unblinking and calculating. The brothers stood frozen, their breaths shallow and hearts racing. Jake knew the danger they were in. He'd read about cougar behavior and understood that running could trigger the animal's hunting instincts. "Stay calm, Ethan," he said, stepping in front of his younger brother. "We're going to back away slowly." But before they could act, the cougar sprang forward with astonishing speed. Its focus was on Jake, the larger of the two. The attack was swift and brutal. Jake yelled, raising his arms in an attempt to appear bigger, but the cougar was relentless. It lunged at him, its powerful jaws clamping down on his shoulder. Ethan screamed, frozen in terror for a moment before instinct kicked in. He grabbed a sturdy branch from the ground and began swinging it at the cougar, shouting as loudly as he could. The commotion momentarily distracted the animal, allowing Jake to push it off and stumble backward. "Run!" Jake yelled, blood streaming from his shoulder. "Get help!" Ethan hesitated, torn between staying to help his brother and obeying his desperate command. The cougar growled again, its focus shifting back and forth between the two of them. Jake made the decision for him, picking up a rock and hurling it at the predator to draw its attention. "Go, Ethan, now!" With tears streaming down his face, Ethan turned and ran, his legs carrying him as fast as they could through the dense forest. Branches whipped at his face, and his breath came in ragged gasps, but he didn't stop. In his pocket, his phone buzzed with the faintest signal. He fumbled to unlock it, his hands trembling, and managed to dial 911. "Help! My brother and I were attacked by a cougar," he gasped into the phone. "I'm separated from him and he's hurt really bad. Please, hurry!" The dispatcher's calm voice guided him to stay on the line and provide his location as best he could. Meanwhile, deputies from the local sheriff's office were dispatched to the scene. Search and rescue teams, along with wildlife officers, prepared for the grim task ahead. Ethan stopped running when he reached a clearing, his lungs burning and legs shaking. He clung to the phone, listening to the dispatcher's reassurances, but his thoughts were consumed by fear for Jake. Minutes felt like hours as he waited for help to arrive. The forest around him seemed alive with tension, every rustle of leaves and snap of a twig amplifying his anxiety. When the first deputies reached him, Ethan led them back toward the last place he had seen his brother. The forest seemed eerily quiet now, the stillness amplifying the sound of their footsteps. As they approached the scene, Ethan's worst fears were confirmed. Jake lay motionless on the ground, his clothes torn and bloodied. Between him and the rescue team, the cougar crouched low, its eyes glinting with primal defiance. The deputies acted quickly, using a combination of loud noises and non-lethal deterrents to scare the animal away. Reluctantly, the cougar retreated into the forest. Ethan's cries shattered the silence as he rushed to his brother's side. A paramedic pulled him back gently, trying to shield him from the full extent of Jake's injuries. Despite their efforts, it was too late. Jake had succumbed to his wounds, leaving a void that no words could fill. The aftermath was a blur for Ethan. Wildlife officers tracked the cougar, eventually euthanizing it to prevent further attacks. Investigations revealed that the animal was likely old and underweight, driven to desperation by hunger. The story made headlines across the nation, sparking debates about human-wildlife interactions and the risks of venturing into predator territory. For Ethan, it wasn't just a news story. It was the devastating loss of his brother, his protector, and his best friend. The weight of that loss pressed on him like a boulder he couldn't lift. In the weeks that followed, Ethan struggled to cope with the trauma. He replayed the events in his mind, haunted by what-ifs and could-have-beens. To honor his brother's memory, Ethan vowed to raise awareness about safety in nature and the importance of coexisting with wildlife responsibly. He began speaking at schools and community events, sharing his story to educate others. He emphasized the need for preparation, carrying bear spray, staying in groups, and understanding animal behavior. Through his efforts, he hoped to prevent others from experiencing the same tragedy. The forest, once a place of joy and discovery, now held bittersweet memories for Ethan. But he returned to it often, finding solace in its beauty and a connection to his brother's spirit. On one such visit, he found an antler, its smooth surface glinting in the sunlight. He picked it up, cradling it like a treasure, and whispered, "This one's for you, Jake." Life moved forward, but the bond between the brothers remained unbroken. In every rustling leaf and sunlit trail, Ethan felt Jake's presence, guiding him as he turned his grief into a legacy of awareness and respect for the wild. Jake's memory lived on, not just in the stories Ethan shared, but in the countless lives he touched with his message of caution, reverence, and resilience in the face of nature's raw power. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and follow our channel for more real-life catastrophic stories. Thanks for watching.